Snowden is a really interesting case, exceptional in some ways, but not in others. Time magazine will criticize Snowden. He's not really a refugee because he doesn't meet the international legal definition, which is that you must fear persecution or violence to your body based on your nationality, your religion, your race, your political opinion, or membership in a social group. Is he a criminal? Snowden is saying more than he disagrees with the surveillance of the National Security Agency and the ways in which it's collecting information. He's actually releasing some. Normally, someone who has a serious criminal charge against them is not eligible for refugee status. But there's another kind of refugee definition. There's the legal one, but there's also geopolitical definitions. That is to say, the Cold War was all about accepting refugees from the other side who were suffering under the oppression of the ideological regime of the Soviet Union. Or in a few cases, suffering under capitalism gone wild. The US sent a few people over to the other side. You get Mikhail Baryshnikov to come over to the US. Is he really fearing for his life? Is he really in need of refugee protection? Well, we're not sure, but he's high profile, he's likable, he's well known, and he's a point for our side. This is the geopolitical kind of Cold War asylum that Snowden fits into. It really harkens back, or maybe is even a legacy from the Cold War period, when people, regardless if they were truly in danger, they were evidence, as Snowden is, that the US is problematic. So this has value to the states that provide the asylum, and I think Russia's hoping for that. We've heard that Ecuador, Costa Rica have at least expressed interest or willingness to consider him as an asylum seeker. Those are governments that are not very fond of the United States. But what's proving very interesting, which is where the geopolitics comes out, is flying him from Russia to the Americas could prove to be quite difficult. We saw, a plane grounded because it was thought to have Snowden on it. Countries like France or Canada. We're certainly not going to enable that to happen because that gives certain legitimacy to Snowden. I think that maybe a parallel case that we can look at is the Bradley Manning conviction that has just been handed down in the US military, because he also was leaking confidential, highly classified information, albeit in the context of the US military. But again, I think there is that ambiguity of, is he a hero, showing that the US targeted certain civilian groups and killed civilians knowingly? Or has he revealed state secrets that open up the US to all kinds of vulnerabilities and, make the state more insecure? I think that Snowden's actions 10 years ago would not be nearly as popular. He wouldn't be called the whistleblower and the kind of champion of smaller government in the wake of the 9/11 attacks. But that space and time has changed the meaning of his actions in a way that I think he's finding support in some camps and groups in the United States.